Good evening. This is normally a recap podcast every week on Fridays. This week, there's nothing to recap. There's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to predict. And there's nothing for a while. After the past events that have gone down with the coronavirus, almost every single sporting event across the United States has been canceled, postponed, suspended. Now, there's a lot to discuss in what could have been. And that's why I, Trey Redfield, and my guy, Nick Zelaya, are here. Because we, as students at Syracuse University, are being affected by this as well. For this could be the last time we set foot on this campus for freshman year. So, Nick, let's just get right into it from the start. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of remorse for what has happened, especially in the United States. Even though it's not the biggest country that's been affected, Italy has had 200 plus deaths, I believe 2,000 cases. Yeah. The country's in a literal lockdown, but at the same time, there are no sports in the United States as we speak. For who knows how long. Could be I believe the only sport around is NASCAR. But Nick, when you got the news about the conference tournaments being canceled for the Ivy League, because they were the first to do it on Tuesday, what were you thinking? Was this something that was going to happen? You think this was...
I feel like when the Ivy League canceled on Tuesday, that was the 10th, that I felt like that was going to start a trickling effect, because this is the Ivy League, and when one conference goes down, the other conferences kind of feel obligated to as well cancel their things. And the Big East was the last conference to, I guess, cancel their tournament, and they stopped the game halfway through because they're like, we're not going to keep playing if no other conference is going to play.
Right.
This is like, maybe they don't want to feel like attacked, I guess, or criticized if they don't cancel it. They're like, oh, you're putting your players at danger or something by doing this. So I felt like the Ivy League, it was a good conference to go down first. I mean, the Ivy League's known as, the Ivy League schools at least are known as the smart ones, I guess. Right. So I felt like once I saw that, I'm like, okay, this is all going to go downhill. But, I mean, I'll allude this more as we go down the conversation, but that's what I have for that, yeah.
Every major sport that is being played right now in the United States has been canceled, suspended, or postponed in some shape or form. Now, the NFL is obviously not in season, but there's still football around. The XFL just canceled their season yesterday. Major League Baseball put their season on hold for at least 2 weeks after the Mariners were choosing not to play in Safeco Field up in Washington. And the NBA, especially, we'll get into the timeline shortly, but in the NBA, the season is suspended for now, and as well as the NHL. And then, most importantly, there's no college basketball this month. After many conference tournaments were played, and many conference tournaments were halted and canceled, and after Kansas and Duke, two powerhouses that chose to suspend their programs, athletic programs that is, the NCAA had no choice. They canceled the NCAA tournament for the first time ever. And after going with the protocol of having empty arenas, seeing what conference tournaments were doing, or what conferences were doing, what teams were doing, what spring sports were being canceled, they had no other choice. So that's me just announcing it, to be honest with you, just recapping it. But with me, this hurts. Yeah. I feel remorse, I feel pain for almost every single person that's in this sports business.
Yeah.
They're jobless. They're jobless for who knows how long. Ebola was never like this. The swine flu was never like this. This is putting a lot of fear into a lot of people in this continent at in the world, to be honest with you. But it's unfortunate. So, I mean, I don't really want to react that much. We can just go through the timeline. So it all started on Tuesday at around noon, where the Ivy League, they chose to cancel both their men's and women's basketball tournaments. And I think it's unfortunate because Harvard on the men's side, Harvard swept Yale.
Yeah.
And Yale was the de facto conference champion after winning the regular season. So, and it's unfortunate that they never got to play again. That would have made me really upset.
Yeah.
And on Wednesday, the College Basketball Invitational was canceled. That's the tournament that's below the NIT. And then later, the MLB was considering alternate sites, but we all knew the outcome of that. And then at 2:10 that Wednesday, the Warriors chose to play without fans. This was like a precedent, I guess, for the NBA. And then the Ohio governor later that hour chose to not have fans in Dayton and in Cleveland. For those were the locations during the tournament in Ohio. And then at 3, on Wednesday, the Ivy League chose to cancel every competition. I mean, look, the Ivy League is one of the best lacrosse leagues in the country, and all that wiped away. I think that was just certain that it was going to happen.
Yeah,
that spring sports were going to be done, because when you have 3 of the top 5 teams in the top 20 right now for college lacrosse, there's no way. There's no way you can go on with that. That takes away 3/4 of the competition, especially when the Patriot League canceled and other schools, and the Big Ten as well. But, and then at 4:30, the tournament's going to be They said the NCAA tournament was going to be scheduled. Then there were no fans, and then there were players who were testing positive for the coronavirus overseas, especially for Juventus, Danielle Rugani. Specifically, the Big Ten, they closed every single men's basketball. They closed all spring sports competition, the fans, and the tournament. The ACC did the same while the Boston College Notre Dame game was played. They let the Syracuse UNC game go on, and with fans and everything. And then. At 8:40, they said there was an announcement. It came out, and I think this is where everything started. This is where you could write a 30 for 30 about this.
Yeah.
Where the climax goes down.
Probably, yeah.
Jazz Thunder NBA game was postponed, and no one knew what was next. About 40 minutes after that, Rudy Gobert tested positive for the coronavirus. And 5 minutes later, the NBA season was suspended indefinitely. Lord knows how long this will last, to be honest. The G League followed a couple hours later, and after that, Gobert's teammate, his shooting guard, one of the better players in this league, Donovan Mitchell, was tested positive for the coronavirus. I mean, there was a quote that came out saying Gobert was classless in the locker room, and he was testing, and he was touching other players and their belongings. What do you think about that? Does that make you upset, or is that?
Yeah, I can agree that a lot of players are. Well, I saw this yesterday. The Jazz, they're angry at Rudy Gobert. And it's going to take a long time.
It will be a
lot
while.
of effort to rebuild the relationship the players have with Gobert, because the video went viral of him after the press conference joking around with the reporters, touching everything on the microphone and stuff. And who knows who touched that stuff afterwards.
Right.
And if Donovan Mitchell had an interview afterwards, and that's how he got it. And it's just unfortunate because Rudy Gobert is one of the best players in the NBA.
Yeah.
Defensively especially, probably the best defensive player in the league. And for him to give that, literally shut down the NBA, as some people are joking around about.
I mean, he did.
Basically,
he did.
yeah. I mean, hand him the Defensive Player of the Award right now. But for Donovan Mitchell, 58 people in the Jazz were tested, and for all but one get it and that be their best player, it's really unfortunate.
Very
They
unfortunate.
should be very lucky that the NBA is suspended and they don't have to keep playing without their two best players.
Yeah.
And the fact that the Jazz used a certain plane and the day before that, the Grizzlies and Magic were using the same plane. It's who knows how long Gobert.
Right.
They said Gobert was signing things. He was giving kids high fives, gave them his arm sleeve.
Who knows how
That
long
dude
he's had this for?
If he's had this for a week, he's affected 5 different teams. He's probably affected
The Celtics.
kids
From my
around
perspective.
the kids around whoever came to his games and whoever he's autographed. He's spreading it, and that's the one thing the NBA is trying to prevent, and he's not doing a good job with preventing it.
Right.
Basically.
So later that day, the MLS chose to suspend their season for at least 30 days, and it's unfortunate because this is their 25th season. So that I found that to be very unfortunate. It's just everything going downhill. But like for a commemorative season, it hurts a little bit.
Yeah.
Like if this was the 100th season of the NFL, wow,
Yeah.
most forgettable season ever. But and then about 7 minutes later, the Big Ten chose to cancel their basketball tournament. They were the first Power 5 to do so. Rutgers and Michigan were literally warming up, and then officials came out and said, it's over. We're canceling this thing. And other conferences would follow, but before that, the NHL chose to suspend their season around noon, and around that same time, the Big East tournament game between St. John's and Creighton tipped off. Little would they know, an hour later, that their conference tournament would be canceled after playing one half of basketball already. Then, after tip-off in the St. John's and Creighton game, about 6 minutes after, the SEC chose to cancel their basketball tournament. The ACC would follow about 12:15 when Florida State and Clemson were warming up. So it's just one of those things where just people are warming up and you're just like, oh, yay, it's over with. And all in all, Florida State was rewarded the champion of the ACC tournament, where they were the regular season champion as well.
They looked miserable in their championship picture.
Yeah.
None of them were smiling.
I
They
bet.
just did not look happy to be there whatsoever. And I really don't blame them.
I
'Cause
don't
they
know.
want to work for that championship, and a lot of people don't think they deserved it, really.
No.
A lot of people didn't think they would win the ACC tournament.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This is true. And
Continue the timeline.
Yeah, 2 minutes immediately after the Pac-12 canceled their men's basketball tournament. So that's already Big 10, ACC, Pac-12. Or did the Big 12 get canceled, I believe?
It did right after the Pac-12.
It did right after the Pac-12. Yeah, so 4 of the 5 conferences, or 5, the Power 5, I believe, something in that nature. At least 4 of the Power 5 were canceled within a 15-minute span. A domino effect was created in the sports world yesterday,
Yeah.
on Thursday. And so at 1:09, a little bit after, the Big East chose to cancel St. John's and Creighton right at the half, and they called off the rest of the tournament immediately after. The MLB chose to cancel their spring training and advises players to stay near to spring facilities, and they delayed opening day by at least 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And this action came after the Mariners chose not to play in Washington, for the state had the most cases of coronavirus at the start of this. They are the most deaths, at least.
Yeah.
I think it's just very unfortunate for baseball. Like it hasn't been this long where a season's been overlapped by something. Because look, there could be players going to the Olympics this summer too.
Yeah.
And knowing that like there's an opportunity to miss even more games for these guys,
Yeah.
it's unfortunate. It just hurts.
Also, the MLB with the whole microphone thing during spring training, miking
Right.
up the players, it was really bringing a lot of attraction to the league, and probably they were thinking, oh, this is something that we can continue to do during the regular season, and fans really enjoy it. So why would we stop miking up these players? I mean, it's all over social media.
Right.
Everyone's enjoying it, and now they've got to cancel this, and yeah, it's just unfortunate for them that it looked like the MLB was going in the right direction, going upwards.
Yeah, it's pretty damn unfortunate to say the least. So at about 1:45, about 4 minutes after Major League Baseball chose to cancel spring training and suspend the season for at least 2 weeks, Duke, they chose to suspend all of their athletic activity immediately, and Kansas would follow 9 minutes later. And at 2:31, the NFL chose to take action by canceling the annual meeting for owners, and in minor league baseball would also follow by delaying the start of its season. And then the last domino fell. 4:15 yesterday, the NCAA chose to cancel all winter and spring championships. And yes, this includes both men's and the women's college basketball tournament. Yeah. Men's and women's NCAA basketball tournaments.
Yeah.
Gone. Done. Canceled. It's the first time this has ever happened in the NCAA ever since its beginning in 1939 when Oregon won it all. And we're at a loss of words. We went from thinking there was going to be no crowds and we'd be fine. And Jim Nantz would be calling a SUNY ESF basketball game like how I did. Some people have to get used to it. But then, when Gobert went down, the Ivy League chose to go out. It just went downhill from there. The Masters is being postponed. The Boston Marathon is being postponed. The Players' Championship got canceled. The XFL canceled Thursday night. And we'll go into 2021 with the new season. Everything. This year in sports has been a dumpster fire. We lost one of the best players in the game. Best players in the game of basketball. And all this happens. And I think the one thing I take away from this, I'm thankful he's not here to be a part of it.
That's true.
I feel like something could have happened with him and this virus. It just has an odd feeling to me. Like if there was, like, I don't want to sound horrible, but he's just. I feel like Kobe Bryant would be one of those people that be on the bad end of it and get a virus like this.
That's fair, yeah.
I mean, it just seems like one of those scenarios that'd be like, hey, this does make a little bit of sense.
Yeah.
And now we have all that timeline. We have that whole timeline and everything's together now, pieced in. I just want to ask you, like, what do you, if there's one team that's affected, like, across the entire sports world, one team that's affected by all of this the most, what you got?
Is I think this is what I told you last night.
Right.
Dayton.
You think Dayton is?
Dayton Flyers, yeah. I mean, they just had, I don't know how long Dayton's been at school for. Do you have any idea or no? I don't know.
I think the 1900s.
Something like that. This was going to be the 71st March Madness. And 71st, right? Yeah, 71st, yeah. Just making sure I did the math right. I'm not good at math.
81st.
81st.
Yeah.
1939?
39, yeah. 39.
Oh, you're
80,
right.
Yeah. 81st.
This was
something like that, yeah.
Dayton had the best basketball season in their program history. They went 29-4. We're on a
29-2.
29-2.
They only lost two
My
games.
bad.
2 games.
And they were on a 21-game winning streak.
Something like that. They had
Going
Obi
into the
Toppin.
A10 championship. Their star player just evolved into a Player of the Year candidate. He's going to be a top 10 NBA pick this year, and as only a sophomore. And yes, he could go back for another year and try to repeat next year what he did, but it just really wouldn't feel the same because Dayton last year, yes, I can't remember exactly, honestly, how well Dayton, I don't think they made the tournament last year, but
I think they did. Yeah.
they probably lost in the first round or
Something like that.
But this year, it just felt different.
I think they played Iowa.
This team
Cincinnati.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. What?
They constantly kept just going up in the rankings. And as teams, we saw at the beginning of the college season, a team would get to number 1, they would just fall immediately. top 10 teams were falling like this, falling like dominoes, as we just alluded to.
Falling like every single
And
program.
Dayton was the only team in my eyes
that went
that
up.
only went up and never went down once.
Right.
And it's just weird to think. A lot of people were like, oh, they're playing A10 teams. This isn't good competition. But in reality, this team was good.
Yeah.
They were the number 3 team in the country. They lost 2 games for a reason the entire season. And it's weird to think, what if this team made a Final Four run and really just proved the rest of the country wrong and been like, we're a powerhouse team, like pay attention to the Dayton
Right.
Flyers. And it's sad to think, like, and to those seniors, I mean, besides Obi Toppin, he's a sophomore, but the seniors, they probably would never imagine their senior year going 29-2.
Yeah.
And now it's just going to end because of this. It's really disappointing.
Yeah.
And I wish I could say I feel for them, but I really don't. Because, one, I'm not a D1 athlete. Never will be. I mean, look at me. And just, I'm not a senior either. And
We're both freshmen.
it's just sad.
We're here.
I feel bad for Dayton. I really do. I mean, I wish I could have seen them go far. I said last week I was going to... This is the other thing. Last week, we were so excited about the conference tournaments. It all happened in 1 week. This is all within 1 week that the sports world just disappeared like this. I was ready. We had Leo in between both of us, and I was ready to give my prediction today. I was going to pick Dayton to win the whole thing this year. I really thought they were going to win the national championship. And now it's just gone. I mean, maybe this will turn into a May Madness, which, I mean...
It's done.
It wouldn't, you think?
It's over. No,
It depends how long this virus thing goes.
They
Because
canceled it. When it's canceled, it's canceled.
I thought they might put it later.
Nope.
So there's no May Madness whatsoever.
There's nothing.
No June Madness?
Nothing.
Okay. Then never mind.
Nothing.
Take back what I said. I guess just on to next year.
Yeah, but I think the team that was most affected, and I'm gonna be a little bit of a homer with this one. I think it's either the Boston Bruins or Syracuse men's lacrosse.
Mm-hmm.
Look, this is one of the greatest teams we've seen in a while from any team. The Syracuse team especially. They went 6-0 on the year. Had Chase Scanlon, Stephen Rafus, a great attack, it's a great offense in general. They had one of the better goalies in the league, better goalies in the country, and Drake Porter. Astounding defense when they needed it most. Everything was lined up, and there's a lot of seniors on this team. And a lot of those seniors will be walking across the stage, turning their tassel from right to left, without a national championship ring on their finger, because of just this one virus that took away everything. Took away everybody's last game that they're going to post about on their social media in April or May. It's all gone. It's over. The seniors did that last night. And I just think going back into Syracuse, this is one, like I said, this is one of the best teams that they've ever produced. Yeah. And it's unfortunate that John Desko will never be able to coach that team to a national championship.
Yeah.
Because I believe he thinks he has so much to prove for not, just living up to the Simmons family with all those national championships.
I think this
that they
year was
won.
bound to be their championship.
No, they weren't going to lose.
No.
They were not going to lose a single game. And
they looked unstoppable.
They were unstoppable.
Yeah.
They were unstoppable. And they're going to play huge teams like Cornell. They're going to play Albany. Literally they're playing the best teams in the state of New York. They beat West Point. They would have played Cornell. They would have played Albany. And they would have played in the best conference in the ACC, which is Virginia, Duke, Carolina, Notre Dame. And knowing that they had all that star power is going to go up against other really good teams, and just would have shown that they were a team primed for Memorial Day weekend. I mean, this was the team. This was the team to take it all away. And I felt the same way with the Bruins. They were the first team to get 100 points on the season, something they achieved, I believe, on Tuesday.
Yeah, something like this.
Before everything went downhill. And I know that the president's trophy curse is definitely true, but this team was just way too good, and they knew that. They knew that they had one of the best lines in hockey. They had David Pastrnak, Patrice Bergeron, and Brad Marchand in the same line.
Yeah.
And you also got Charlie McAvoy and Zdeno Chara defending with one of the better goalies in the league in Tuukka Rask. This team was too good.
I don't know hockey that much, but I've heard of most of those players.
Yeah.
That's saying something.
That's saying,
good.
yeah. Pasternak's like leading the league in goals this season. He's one of the prime leaders for the MVP. Pretty sure it's called the Conn Smythe. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not the best with hockey, but I mean, I know my Bruins and I know that they're good, and I know my Syracuse and I know the Syracuse lacrosse team pretty well. Not like people wise, but just being here as a student, and this is a damn good team. Both of these were damn good teams. And the possibility of taking away the opportunity of winning NCAA trophy or the Stanley Cup, it's heartbreaking. It's disappointing.
Yeah.
And do you have any final thoughts?
I mean, one team I would possibly mention is not really a team in general, Michigan State, just because Cassius Winston.
I was saying the same thing.
He's what happened at the beginning of the season with his brother dying, and that dude being a senior. He's been there for 4 or 5 years. I'm not sure if it's his 5th year or not, but Michigan State makes the tournament and they get bounced so early every single year. And this year,
Not last year.
well, they lost anyways.
Then the Final Four, yeah.
Yeah. So usually, weren't they a 2 seed a few years ago and they lost like a 15?
Yes.
Yeah.
No sense.
So
That was your Syracuse man to the Final
yeah,
Four.
exactly.
Because of that.
I feel for exactly. I feel for Cassius and the entire Michigan State team because, I mean, they could have gone far this year. They haven't had the great.
I thought they were going
season,
to win the Big Ten.
but seniors, there's always that one senior-led team that makes it far in the tournament.
You know how big I am.
It was either
going
going
to
be Michigan State or Seton Hall this year.
Yeah.
Seton Hall with Miles Powell, and
It's unfortunate.
yeah, and other than that, we all understand that sports comes second to health with everyone, not just in the country but in the entire world. But we're also learning here how much sports really means to millions of people across the entire world. And it's crushing because you see all these tweets on Twitter and posts on Instagram. People are devastated. They don't know what to do in their free time. Like, I'm going home for spring break. I was supposed to go to the A10 championship.
Mm-hmm. I was supposed to go to the tournament in Greensboro.
That's not happening anymore. None of that's happening. And it's even going to be hard just to go in public anywhere. I mean, people are so scared about this. I don't know how bad the virus could possibly get. I mean, we're not scientists.
We're not scientists. This is sports.
But the only thing is, all the evidence that they have so far for the virus is that it's going up. There's no signs of it slowing down anytime soon. And that's what makes it scary, and that's why they have to take these precautions, which is good because you got to keep all these athletes healthy. Right. As you can see, it spreads like this. Rudy Gobert got it, and 12 hours later, another player has it on the same team. And who knows if other NBA players have this virus and are just staying quiet about it, not trying to mention anything. And dear God, I hope none of my Lakers have the virus.
Yeah.
Or your Celtics, I'm sure.
It'd be unfortunate, especially the Celtics. They just played the Jazz a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly.
And my final thought really for this is just what now?
Yeah.
We are, like I said before, there are so many broadcasters out there, so many hosts, analysts, jobless because of all this. And who knows how long they'll be jobless for. It could be weeks. It could be months. It definitely won't be years, but it could be a couple months.
And
here, what were you going to say?
No, you finish.
I finished? Okay. And when there's no sports, there's no coverage. There's no reporting. There's no podcasts. There's no talking about these sports with your friends. There's no sitting down at a table in your room doing a podcast with your best friend every single week. There's none of that. It's gone. Done. For now. Now, I mean, that's really it's really my summary, my final thoughts that it's PPD, plain and simple. And just like our year may be like going to live classes or postponed. We're online until the 30th, and who knows how long this will be.
Yeah.
But do you have anything before I close it up?
I was just gonna mention, we talked a lot about like the college sports, but my favorite sport obviously is basketball, and with the NBA, it really hits me the hardest because it's my favorite sport. I pay attention to it the most, and I wouldn't say this is similar to the lockout. It's a bit of a different
Much
thing.
different.
Much different. I mean, the whole shortened season.
The
aspect.
lockout can be prevented.
Yeah, the shortened season aspect is the same, but other than that, it's really not the same. And to be a little biased, having your favorite team be a championship contender and have this happen, and they haven't won a championship in 10 years, it's just hard.
Yeah.
Because it was so exciting watching them every night, the Lakers. Watching them every night, watching LeBron and Anthony Davis just go out there, put up 30 apiece on the Bucks, Clippers. Shout out Eli. Hey, Eli. You know,
and
we
the
won.
Celtics.
We would have got that second game. And, yeah, we beat the Celtics, too.
We went 1-1.
That's fair. We'd go 4-0 in the playoffs.
Wow.
But I hope the NBA players are all right. And someone mentioned this on TV the other day, that when you think about it, basketball players are probably, besides soccer, the most notable celebrities in the entire world.
Yeah.
Because everyone, if you go on social media,
and those that play in the Super Bowl as well.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. They've got people from all around the world following them. You look at places around the world, they've got jerseys of LeBron. I mean, these are notable people. LeBron, Kevin Durant. I'm trying to think of other people that I've seen.
Luka Doncic.
Zion
Zion Williamson.
If you get to the international players, Doncic, Giannis, Dirk when he was playing, these players come from all around the world. In these countries, they look up to those guys.
Right.
And it's unfortunate. The NBA has become such a global community, it feels like.
Yeah.
And to see it postponed until who knows how long. Adam Silver said it's going to be at least 30 days. I mean, in 30 days, the NBA playoffs were going to be set. I was ready to watch the Lakers.
First round had already been going on.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's really sad. And if we don't come back for the rest of the semester for school, I'm going to be sitting down and just
on a Friday being like,
2K.
dang, there's no late night people.
There's no Lakers at 10:30.
Yeah.
Or Pelicans, of course, because we got to show Zion every game he plays. But, yeah, it's sad. I mean, if the NBA does finish the season, it'll probably go into, like, July or August, which I'm not complaining about because NFL will be right after that.
Yeah.
And the Broncos are looking good this year. But the Lakers and the NBA, it's... I hope they finish.
I gotta be honest. I have to disagree with that NBA one.
With what?
You
don't think it's going to end?
No, they're the Olympics in Tokyo.
If anything, they cancel the Olympics and start the NBA. It's more dangerous in Tokyo than it is in America, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's the only reason I would say they'd go with the NBA.
They're the only organization other than NASCAR that's canceled their sporting events, though.
The Olympics?
Yep.
If the Olympics go on, I'll be shocked, honestly.
Yeah, me too.
This whole thing started... I don't know how far Wuhan is from Tokyo, but I know...
Pretty far.
They're closer than America, so...
It's
pretty far, obviously, yeah.
It's still in the continent, so...
Well...
Yeah. Well, this is it. This is going to do it all for this edition
Not as much energy as usual.
this season and this year for the late night appeal.
We can all hope, though, that we'll be back in 2 weeks.
Right.
Small chance, but we can at least hope.
If this isn't a goodbye, it's most definitely a see you later. You bet your ass. Nick and I will be back in August, doing the same thing, running it back with Cam and Eli for every single show. As our podcast has been put on a halt, it doesn't mean we're not going anywhere. We're still here.
I mean, you're going to North Carolina and I'm going to Connecticut, but...
We're still on the planet.
Okay.
And
Trying to break
there's
some happy vibes to this.
And there is a light at the end of the tunnel, as there always is. And that light will get closer and closer indefinitely, to say the least. But just want to give a quick thank you to everyone that came on this show. If you're watching, appreciate you guys, especially Matt Zimbolo, Spencer Pierce, Cam Azir, Eli Lesser, Leo Silverman. Am I missing anyone? I think that's it.
Not that I can remember, but
That
if you were on this, I'm sorry.
And Alex McDonald too.
That's right, Alex.
for that season finale.
We had a couple live studio audiences. So we appreciate you guys.
We did, yeah, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun promoting it. It was a lot of fun talking
It's gonna
sports.
be better in August. I guarantee that.
It's gonna be much better. It's gonna be so much better. It's
My
gonna be
inner LeVar Ball is coming in.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not wrong. There's a lot to look as this is like a year without a summer, just 200 years later with sports. There's still so much brightness to look out for next year, and we can't wait to get started. Who knows when? Who knows how? Who knows, like what's gonna be on? Where we gonna switch up? Who knows? But there will always be positives, especially here with the late night appeal. So that's gonna do it. It's going to do it for this season. So for Nick Zelaya, myself, Trey Redfield, we can't thank you guys enough for tuning in this entire semester, going through all the sports that we could cover. And we appreciate you guys for liking, commenting, subscribing, listening on Spotify, viewing us on YouTube, whatever you did to view us for the Late Night Appeal. We can't thank you enough. So for Nick and Trey, what can I say? We'll catch y'all on the flip side.
All right, this is usually the time that I say something outrageous, but
We can't.
200 subscribers and I'll grow a beard by August.
All right, bet.